Let us sit in a comfortable meditation posture and close the eyes. Become established in the silent witness. You are the silent witness. So from this perspective of the silent witness, please listen to the Yoga Vasishta. Before chapter 19. We're continuing with verse 6. Shukra, the son of Brigu, obtained his liberation at last by the purity of his conscience. Even though he was enslaved of his own nature to phenomena at his first sight of the Apsara fair. A child born on earth first has purity of its soul, then becomes the same nature as the education he gets, and not otherwise. Rama said, "Sage, please tell me the difference between the states of waking and dreaming. What are the states of waking watchfulness, waking dream, and waking delusion?" Just to answer. The waking state is that in which we have a sure reliance. Dreaming is the state in which we place no certain reliance and we believe it to be untrue. Dream is something that seems like the waking state but lasts only for a moment. If an object is seen over a length of time and distance, it is said to be a waking dream or dreaming awakenings. The state of waking dream can be longer or shorter duration, during which what we see appears the same at all places and times. Dreaming, as long as it lasts, is also like waking, but waking seems like a dream when the objects of its vision are not lasting. A dream that is understood as an occurrence of the waking state is believed to be waking, but the inner consciousness of dreaming makes it a dream. As long as no one knows anything to be lasting before him, he believes himself to be waking. But no sooner as it is lost to him than he thinks himself to have been dreaming it. So this is a significant statement by Vasishta. The only thing that delineates a dream from waking is how long the objects persist. So it seems to be time is a very important element in waking and dreaming. However, what is time? Time is just an illusion, part of the dream of the universe. Time in a dream seems to have a different meter to it than time in the waking state. But if we connect with the silent witness, there is no time. There's no time in the silent witness. This is what results in us living in the present moment. Time is literally a memory of what has happened in the past and a projection of what might happen in the future. Beyond that, time has no basis. As a society, we have some idea of time because we have created cycles in the illusion based on some permanent like experiences. The appearance and disappearance of the sun is very stable in our universe. And so if we're embedded in this universe, we use the appearance and disappearance of the sun to mark time. But if we're not embedded in the universe, we're observing all from the silent witness, which is beyond time, then the appearance and disappearance of the sun has no particular importance. So our perspective, our platform of consciousness is what's important. Now we know that the only valid perspective is from the silent witness. And that creates a very lasting, non-changing experience. But the key word here is experience. Whenever we have experience, what's happening? We have created a fracture in consciousness. Because an experience is something that happens. And it happens to something that exists. But the reality is, even experience is illusion, because existence is illusion. Verse 15, now hear this. There is a principle of life in the body that causes it to live. This vital element is an electric force called Jiva Chaitanya. When the body is active with the powers of the mind, speech, and other members of action, its vital element is put into motion by the vital breath that it breathes. This breath circulating throughout the body gives it the powers of sense and consciousness, which have their seats in the heart and mind, where the false conception of the world is hidden. The mind circulates about the outer world through the passages of sight and other organs, and sees within itself the forms of many changing shapes and figures. As long as these forms remain permanent in the mind, it is called the waking state. So far, I have told you about the cause of waking. Now hear me expand on the laws of sleep and dreaming. When the body is weary with action of its limbs, mind, or speech, the living element becomes still and remains at rest with the calm and quiet soul residing within the body. The internal actions of the body and mind being quietened, and the motion of the heart being at rest, the living principle becomes as still as the flame of a lamp unshaken by wind. The vital power ceases to exert itself in the members of the body and ceases to keep consciousness awake. The senses of sight and others do not act upon their organs, nor do they receive their sensations from without. Life lies latent in the inner heart, like liquid oil residing in a sesame seed. It lies as dormant in the interior part, as cold within frost and fluidity in clarified butter. The particle of consciousness that has taken the form of life after being purified from its earthly impurity mixes with the internal soul and attains the state of sound sleep, as if lulled to unconsciousness by a cooling breeze. One who feels that his mind to be incapable of passion, who deals unconcernedly with everyone, and who has reached the fourth state of consciousness, beyond the three states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping. Is said to be deadened in life, and this is called Turiya. When the vital principle again comes to action after the enjoyment of its sound sleep, either in this or the other world, it takes the name of living element of mind or consciousness. This principle of life and thought sees within itself the ebbs and flows of many worlds. Just like a large tree and all its parts and productions are observed to be contained within the seed. When the breeze of the vital breath puts a slight motion to the element of life, it becomes conscious of its self-existence as I am. The motion being accelerated, life finds itself flying in the air. When the vital breath is immersed in the fluids of the body, life gets the feeling of humidity in itself, as a flower perceives its own fragrance. When it is assailed by internal bile, then it has the feeling of its inner heat and sees all outward objects with its melancholy temperament. When it is full of blood, it perceives a fiery redness in itself, like that of a red rock, or like the crimson red of the setting sun in the sky. Whatever one desires to have, he sees the same in himself in his sleep. And this is by the force of his inner vital breath, acting upon his mind as it does upon his outward organs. When the organs are not besieged by external objects that disturb the inner senses of the mind indulges itself, reflecting upon many things. This is called its dreaming state. But when the organs are besieged by outward objects, and the mind is moved by motion of vital breath to their sight and perception, it is called the state of waking. Now, O great-minded Brahma, you have learned the inner process of your mind. But there is no reality in it, or in this existent world, which is subject to the evils of death, desire, and destruction. So we have basically analyzed the structure of an illusion, of a dream, of something that is not real. The structure of illusion. of what value is it to have such an analysis. The value is, the analysis is a clear reflection of the divine karmic traces that create the phenomena of the illusion. We can look at these divine karmic traces directly. We can perceive them exactly by listening to the syllables of the Rig Veda. Rig Veda is a recording. The master recording of the divine karmic traces. Because of that, the Rig Veda has extraordinary power and ability to create balance in the individual karmic traces, because the individual karmic traces are frequencies, recorded frequencies, memories of frequencies in the illusion of the universe. That are in conflict with divine karmic traces. This feature of the Rig Veda is then used as a basis for a Vedic Vitara. So we have such Vedic Vitaras here, and we are literally constantly being bathed in the frequencies of the divine karmic traces that produces a powerful effect of balancing individual karmic traces. We can use these instruments called Vedic Vitaras as an adjunct to our sadhana, in which we directly, using our own mind, introduce various frequencies into consciousness to balance our karmic traces. Producing an effective way to make good progress. Now let us continue established in the silent witness to introduce the practice of Trimana Sanyama on the esoteric Mahamantra, which is very effective and balancing karmic traces. And all the karmic traces that have been activated by today's reading of the Yoga Vasishta will be quickly balanced. Jai Gurudev.